setting difficult, trend-changing, audacious, and measurable goals called BHAGs for the various policy areas discussed at the summit was the focus of the second day. Justin Sayfie explained where the BHAG concept originated.
A BHAG is a funny-sounding word, but it stands for Big, Hairy, Audacious Goal. And it came from a book written in the 1990s called Built to Last, where they tried to look at what made an organization truly successful. And what the people who did the research learned is that most truly successful organizations had a goal that was a stretch goal, that wasn't something that you could accomplish in 2 or 3 years, that wasn't something you could accomplish doing business the way you're doing it now. It was a goal that required you to fundamentally change the way you do business. The classic Big, Hairy, Audacious goal was the one that John F. Kennedy gave the nation when he said, in 10 years, we're going to put a man on the moon and return him safely to Earth. That's the classic example, and it's being used all over by different organizations around the world.
BHAGs were the talk of the summit and how they would be created. We asked some of the leaders in attendance to talk about BHAGs.
I think it's a way that we should think about some of our problems in a long-term, strategic way of how are we going to dramatically do things differently. And so I think Justin's whole organization of this thing is really very clever and very good and very Jeb Bushy.
Jack Levine, founder of the 4 Generations Institute, had a BHAG goal for education.
Yes, my suggestion is to have 1 million over 60-year-olds engage in our school system to give the benefit of their experience, knowledge, history, passion to our young people.
State Representative Ronald Doc Renouart is a physician who discussed a BHAG about health care for Florida residents.
And we want to not just give them access to care, we actually want them to have health and healthy lifestyles and do things right, and certainly add some personal responsibility too. And how to do that without breaking the bank, without putting all the burden on other people who are paying for their health care, and for taxpayers, that's what's going to be the big challenge that we have here in the state of Florida.
BHAG is breaking the rules. It's getting outside of our comfort zone.
The breakout groups focusing on water policy and education discussed BHAGs in their area of concern. First, water. Nat Reed, a longtime environmentalist, started the conversation.
Water was considered an enemy to urban growth and to agriculture. We've got to reverse that. And throughout the state, water sources are going to be one of the most important parts of a new Florida. We're never going to have the quantity of water, even with desalination, necessary for agriculture and urban growth without protecting the watersheds.
I don't think that John Kennedy's BHAG said how we were going to get to the moon, just that we were going to go to the moon. So I'm going to suggest that a possible BHAG would be to ensure the quality and quantity of Florida's water supply to meet the needs for the next 100 years.
It's a great idea to do an overall BHAG on having supply and quality over an extended period. But I also think and I think that storage is a major issue, quality is a major issue. But one thing I want to go back and look at is how we oversee water in the state.
Is it possible to take that goal of establishing sustained funding and combine it with an end result that we want? And that end result is restoration of the aquifers to protect natural systems, which could lead to 100% reuse within so many years.
After the discussion, the Water Policy Group came up with their BHAG.
Ensure the quality and quantity of Florida's water supply to meet the state's needs for the next 100 years by identifying measurable goals and objectives that will provide accountability evaluated at a minimum of every 10 years and result in national and global leadership.
I don't want to influence the rest of the table, but I think that's terrific.
Now an inside look at how a public school BHAG was determined.
One of the things I hear from teachers is the lack of parent participation as a fundamental problem when they're trying to reach kids, teach kids, feed kids.
Reading at grade level at the third grade is extremely important. That's when we start to lose kids. Our prison investors know, based on how students are performing at that level, how many beds they need for prisons. If we can change that, we can save the state a lot of money on the back end, as the governor was pointing out, about what kind of investments we're making on the front end.
Education is an individual thing. It's not one size fits all, and that's the key. You need to know where the kids start, because some households, they have parents who are children themselves.
Right.
And we have to recognize this as a society if we want to move forward with them. Because if they don't know ABC when they start, how do you teach them how to read? You got to teach them ABC before you teach them how to read.
But I think there's also kind of a flip side. We've got kids that can really excel, and do they need to be sitting in a classroom for the entire year to learn a subject, or can with technology and is there a way that we can push these kids faster along?
To put it in kind of pithy language, to individualize the educational experience for each child.
This is the BHAG the group recommended.
Every child is reading at grade level by the third grade, with the goal of achieving 100% graduation with either a diploma, some level of trade, industry certification, or GED.
The next step for the participants in the Water and Public Schools group was to vote for the top 3 BHAGs. They did it electronically.
You're going to send your text message to 2233. And what you do is, by code that's on the right, type in your code, and I'll read them again. Can you all read that, or would you like me to read them again? You're already everybody's forming coalitions. I see the lobbying going on. And pick the code for what you believe is the BHAG that comes out of this group, and as you vote, you will actually see it recorded. Has everybody voted? You can see what's up there now. All of this will be on the Sayfie review, the top 3. Well, top 3 will go to the Sayfie review.
Summit founder Justin Sayfie looked to the future after the conference concluded. What will be done, really, to see if we can move these from ideas to reality?
Right, and I think that's going to be the responsibility of the leaders of our state. Through the Sayfie Review and through this summit, we convened all of them, the most diverse and unique assemblage of Florida's leaders, I think, in our state's history. And then we gave them some ideas to contemplate. So I'm putting the ideas and the state leaders together in the same place at the same time, and now it's up to them to decide what, if anything, they want to do with those ideas.
Well, what are you going to do next year?
Well, I think this year was successful. I think that a lot of people told me it was needed, and I definitely want to do another Sayfie Review Summit in 2014. It'll be version 2.0. I may not do it the same exact way that we did it this year. I want to keep evolving, I want to keep changing, I want to keep innovating, and I want to be responsive to what's needed for the state of Florida. So we'll definitely do it again next year, and stay tuned for what that's going to look like.